Hey guys, so if you haven't worked it out yet, I play Pokemon Go in a very rural area. So I did a little road trip. I traveled 4 hours to the city, Newcastle, to see how different it really is playing Pokemon Go in the city compared to playing rurally. Okay, so I did this little trip, and what I learned was that there is a huge gap between rural and city areas. Awareness needs to be raised for the unfair disadvantage rural areas are put at. And if anyone knows how I can get in contact with Niantic or get their attention or anything like that, please let me know in the comments below. I've emailed them at their business email, I've spammed them on Twitter, and left reviews on the Google Play Store. I've emailed their support. Yeah, so we'll see how all of that goes. But anyway, if you know of any other way to get in contact with them, let me know in the comments below. Um, that'd be much appreciated. So when I was like playing, in my town, in my region, we have about 12 Pokestops and we have two gyms, right? Now at Newcastle, just on Nobby's Beach and the wharf there, they have that. They have way more than that just there, right? So it's it's just ridiculous to be honest. They have I think three gyms and like 20 Pokestops just there, or even more. I didn't count 100%, but off the top of my head, that's what they had there. Yeah, and out here in the rural areas, it's very spread out compared to in the city where it's all real close together. We need to get it in the rural areas. It needs to be filled in. There's like massive gaps and everything's really spread out. So like for example, three of our Pokestops are like out of town. Well, actually four. Four of our Pokestops are out of town, and so it makes it very hard to collect them all, even though we only have 12. So like eight of them are accessible in a like good walking area. Um, what else is there that I wanted to touch on? Oh yeah. So also I've been averaging it out, right? And I catch about 20 to 30 Pokemon a day where I live. But in the city I caught 400 in 2.5 days. So yeah, 20 to 30. So in 2.5 days here I would have caught about 80 Pokemon. Um, in the city I caught 400. Um, and there's just so many Pokemon that just don't spawn here. Like, there's barely any variety, and a lot of Pokemon considered rare here are everywhere in the city. So it's just, yeah. And the other thing is, I got to level 5 in 2 to 3 days at where I live, doing my late night Pokemon and that, trying to level up my Noob the Pro account because I did start on another one before that. But anyway, um, whereas in the city, when I was just playing on my Noob Pro, I got to level 14 in 2 days. Um, yeah, and I've noticed this in a lot of other rural areas too. Like on the way to the city and back, I stopped at several of the small towns and rural areas there to see what the differences were from town to town. And some of these places don't even have one Pokestop or one gym, and they only have one spawn spot for Pokemon. It's just ridiculous. Like I stopped at one place, and the only place that Pokemon spawn there is at the servo. It's quite it's quite depressing, and they don't have any Pokestops or gyms. And then there's another town that I went to that has one gym and one Pokestop. So I would hate to live in those places, and I didn't really hang around to see what Pokemon there were there. There was a Growlithe nearby, but I didn't go looking for it there. Um, So yeah, and the Pokemon in these gyms, their power is just like so low compared to the city Pokemon. The highest CP Pokemon in the gyms in my town are just over 1,000, like sitting around 1,000. Well, when I went to the city, there's a whole heap of 2,000 or nearly 2,000 Pokemon in all the gyms there, and it makes it a lot more of a uh, slog. Like you have to just like it took me a while to take a gym there, but anyway, um, yeah. it's just ridiculous how strong theirs are compared to ours. And it's not like we don't have enough historic or interesting locations here either for the Pokestops and gyms to be put on. And like, for example, in my town, there's a park, right? And one of our stones is a memorial. But there's another three memorial stones like half away from it that are more important ones, and they've actually been done up a lot nicer. And they're nothing, whereas um, the other one is a gym. And there's a wishing well there that in Ingress, which is the other app that Niantic made, that is a portal, whereas in Pokemon Go it's nothing. So they have missed out there, and it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, they've added other things, they've gotten rid of things. It shouldn't be hard to add more in for rural areas. And I mean, there's not a lack of players here. We have a population of 3,000, and at least like nearly 1,000 of us play. There's always, it's all right. So there's only 12 Pokestops in town, but there's almost always a lure on at least one of them. And you see people walking around all the time playing. And I know it's a small town, so we can know pretty much everyone here. And yeah, a lot of people are playing. There's about 1,000 of us playing, I'd say. Out of 3,000 of us, that should be more than enough to get more stuff near us. And yeah, so rural areas definitely need more Pokestops, gyms, and Pokemon, and we need them soon. We need them very soon. I hope Niantic realise this and they give us what we need. But give this video a like and share if you agree, and comment on anything I left out. I can't think of anything now. That's about everything I can think of off the top of my head. So hopefully Niantic get their act together. They get us some more stuff, and Pokestops, gyms, and Pokemon spawns, and we can be more on par with the city, and the game would be a lot more enjoyable if there's actually more out there to catch. And it makes it very hard now that the nearby doesn't work very well, because I drove around for hours in one of the neighborhoods, I'd say, of the town, trying to find a Ghastly to make my last evolution, for my evolution, but can't find anything. So give this video a like and a share if you agree on everything I've said, or if I've left anything out. But rural areas definitely need help. We definitely need more.